Hello, Dimitri.
Hello, Thodori.
How are you?
Pretty well, my friend.
Long time no see, eh? I missed you.
I missed you too, my friend. After a long break, we are back. In the air tonight is back with good and bad news, Thodori.
No, only good news. It's not bad news. That's
Okay.
reality.
Oh, that's great. So, the good news is that tonight with us is Mr. Dave Kilminster, an amazing hired gun, my personal favorite session musician of the past 20 years. The bad news is that tonight you will be alone with
Yes,
Mr.
these are the good news,
Kilminster.
my friend. These are the
Okay,
good news, not the
good
bad
news for
ones.
you, bad news for me.
For
So,
everybody,
for
everybody.
everybody, okay, let's sit down in the comments because we are in the air tonight.
Okay,
A rock broadcast for the rock stage and all its subgenres for the
okay.
ring.
Yeah, yeah.
So, tonight with us, as we've said before, Mr. Dave Kilminster, the guitarist behind Mr. Roger Waters the
Okay.
past 15 or so years. And of course, Mr. Stephen Wilson for a while. Mr. Dave Kilmister is maybe, for many reasons, the next best thing of Mr. David Gilmour.
Okay.
Thorry, I hope that you'll have a great time with Mr. Kilmister.
I will surely have, Dimitris.
Okay, Thoris. So, tonight with you, not with us, Mr.
Yes.
Dave Kilminster.
Kilminster. Hi, Dave.
Hey!
Hi, Lau. How are you?
I'm terrible, thank you.
Oh, you're terrible. Okay, that's good.
Yes.
That's very
No,
good to know.
I've just, I've been sick for the last.
Wow.
Um,
This is the first. Sorry, this is the first time I'm asking an artist how he is, and the reply is, "I'm terrible." Okay.
I like to be original. What can I say?
Yeah, you are. You
I'm,
are.
I'm honest. I'm honest. But no, I'm good. I'm very good, thank you. It's really hot here at the moment. I'm in Mexico City, and it's hence the open shirt. It's just really kind of I'm
It's
dying.
hot there.
Yeah, it's
It's
really hot here.
it's very. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for having you tonight with us. Unfortunately, Dimitris has a family issue, so he cannot be with us. But I hope that we will do a nice conversation, me and you.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, okay. So let's begin with the first chapter of our show, which are the top five. We begin with the top five for albums.
Okay.
You can say in any specific row you want. The best for us will be to say it from the five to one, and have a comment for each one. But okay, if you want, you cannot say it from five to one, or you can say it any way you want.
Okay. I thought maybe um, in date order how when I actually discovered these albums and the impact they had because they're all very old, like me.
Okay, no,
Um,
you are not very old. Okay, you are not old at all.
well, okay. So take you back to 1975.
Okay,
Okay, I'm listening. I was convinced at that point that I was going to be an artist. I used to draw and paint all the time. I'd been drawing Marvel characters since I got my first Spider-Man issue number one, which was in 1973.
oh,
And I was getting pretty good at art and painting. And actually, one of my paintings was exhibited in front of the Queen when I was still at school. So I thought I was pretty good, but I was also listening to the radio. 1975, they had 10cc, Wings, the Carpenters,
they have Motorhead in
and they had,
1975.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Status Quo, Cockney Rebel, Average White Band, all this amazing music was coming out this year, and I'd heard this band Queen. I'd already heard Seven Seas Awry and Killer Queen, which I totally loved. And then
Okay.
they released this song called Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was playing piano, and I was also singing in a school barbershop group.
Yeah. We will talk about it later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this song seemed to encapsulate everything that I really loved in one 7-minute epic. It
Mm-hmm.
started off with the vocals, the vocal barbershop harmony, if you like, and then it had the piano introduction. Then it had the amazing Brian May solo, which is still probably my favorite guitar solo ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it rocked out at the end. So for Christmas that year, 1975, I persuaded my parents to get me a night at the opera. So
Yeah.
a night at the opera is probably my first choice and
Okay.
certainly my most influential album that I ever got. Um,
For many, not only for you,
yes,
for too many musicians.
yeah. In fact, I went
Fantastic.
back and I bought all the previous three, and Day at the Races. So those five albums are just really, really important to my
Okay.
upbringing. It's my musical tastes, because they had no barriers, they had no fear. They would just kind of do whatever they felt like doing, and I thought
Of
that was
course.
normal. I thought that was completely normal. There's obviously other bands that would play, like AC/DC, for example. They have their own style.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not
So,
going to find a reggae song on an AC/DC tune or a ballad or anything. They have a
yeah.
specific thing. But Queen's just like very broad, vast
Yeah.
musical
Yeah.
horizon. So yeah, so that would be my first choice.
Okay. So number four, let's say.
Number four. Ooh. Number four would probably be related to my first ever gig. Um, my mother was very protective. She didn't want me to go to a concert. I had to work on her for months to be able to persuade her to go and see a band. And
Okay.
so the very first band I ever went to see was a band called Lone Star. Probably haven't heard of them. They were from Wales, but they had this song called Bells of Berlin, which I saw on something like the Old Grey Whistle Test or whatever. It was an old program. And so that was my first ever concert. Um, and probably for most people, the first ever concert is a huge thing. It totally blew my mind, blew my ears. I didn't have any throat the next day. I was just singing along with everything. Yeah, and it was so I would say Firing on All Six from Lone Star would be number four. Um,
Oh, sorry. Can you please repeat the title of the album? The
yes,
title of the album and the group.
yes, yes. The band is called Lone Star.
Lone Star. Okay.
Lone Star, and it's Firing on All Six.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it was just it's my first ever gig. It was life changing. What
Yeah,
can I
of
say?
course. And it's nice memories. Our
Yes,
first gig is always
yes,
something unforgettable. Okay.
yes.
So, number three. Choice number three.
Oh, number three. Um, I'm going to go for. hmm, I think it was early '76,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in a record store, and obviously this is before the internet, before there wasn't many music papers around. So I'm just kind of looking through records to see if I saw, being an artist, I was looking
Mm-hmm.
for covers that I liked, you know, and I came across Jeff Beck, this album called Wired,
Yeah.
and I loved the
Okay.
cover. And I looked at the back, and he's playing this black Les Paul, which again reminded me of Lone Star because their guitarist played a black Les Paul, and I just thought, I need this album. So, and I wasn't even sure when I heard it. I mean, it was so bizarre. It was so different to anything that I'd ever heard before.
Yes.
But I'd even considered at one point taking it back, which is just crazy. But the more I listened to it, the more I loved it, and it's still really important. And actually, Jeff Beck is still really important to me. He's still
Of course. Of course.
music.
Yes.
My the album he did in 2001, I think it was. You Had It Coming. It's amazing guitar playing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, of course, of course. It's a big influence for so many.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. So, and I really admire him for still improving as he gets older, which is, if you think about most guitarists, they kind of reach a peak around about their, you know, mid-20s maybe, and then everything else just sounds like, okay, this is sort of a copy of that, and it's not very good, and then they disappear. But Jeff Beck is still out there, still producing ridiculously amazing music. So, and he still looks
of
great.
course, of
So,
course, of course.
so
So
yeah.
next choice, number two. We are closing to the number one.
God,
Number two right now.
number two. Trying to do this in. Okay, I was playing guitar.
Hmm.
I listened to a lot of guitarists, and I seem to be able to play most of what these guys were playing. Um, and so I had tickets for this Black Sabbath concert in uh,
Okay.
in
Which
Bristol.
year? Which year?
That would have been '78,
Oh, okay.
which I think was the Never Say Die tour.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was a
I
Friday
think.
night. I remember it was raining. I used to live outside of Bristol, and I was waiting at this bus stop for ages, and the bus never came, and I was getting drowned. And eventually, this guy in a van just stopped. He said, "Oh, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Bristol." So he took me to Bristol. So I arrived late at the concert, and I walked in, and I thought, Black Sabbath has started already because everyone was up on their feet and they were shouting and cheering. And no, it was a band called Van Halen, who I'd never heard before. But
Yeah.
this guitarist was just like, oh my God. He
Yeah.
had sound, he had this passion, this energy
Of
in his
course,
guitar,
of course.
and it just blew me away. And from then, I kind of became addicted to guitar playing. I felt
Oh,
pretty comfortable playing other people's stuff, and then Van Halen, that really lit a fire inside me, and I thought I want to be able to affect people in that way. I mean, it wasn't the tapping, it wasn't the flashy pyrotechnics, it was actually just the energy in his playing, his rhythm playing was just phenomenal.
hmm.
So Van Halen won. Would be a
And
sure.
which album do we consider to be in number two? Which album of Van
Oh,
Halen?
that would be Van Halen one, the first one.
Ah, Van Halen. Ah, okay, the first
Yes.
album.
Yeah.
Okay.
The album had just come out when they were touring with as
Oh,
support.
with Black Sabbath, yes.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
so, yes. So
Okay. And we are in the top. Number one.
okay.
In a way, number one. Okay.
So yes, it's difficult for me to pick an album from this band because they've done so many great ones. But in 1976, I went to see a film in the cinema called "The Song Remains the Same."
Ah, okay. Did,
Um,
first of all, sorry, did you like
yes.
the film? Did you like the movie?
Um, for a young, impressionable 14-year-old, I absolutely loved it. I mean, it
Uh,
wasn't, there was there was some weird stuff in there, but
mm-hmm.
essentially it was this rock band from England um, playing incredible music, improvising tons,
Mm.
and playing at Madison Square Gardens in New York. And it was pretty much that moment. I was watching that film and I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be
So,
in a.
yeah. So you first saw the movie and then you listened to the records, or
To,
vice versa?
I'd heard I'd heard Led Zeppelin 3.
Ah.
There was a girl I used to know at school who had lots of records, and she would make me little cassettes.
Mm.
She made me one side was the Who, and the other side was Black Sabbath or Nazareth or whatever. And one of the tapes she made me was Led Zeppelin 3, which I loved. I mean, it was kind of wasn't it what I was expecting, but it had "Since I've Been Loving You," which is probably the best blues song ever. And it's just perfect. And also the "Immigrant Song," which I love.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
but there was something about seeing the band live, and
Yeah,
yeah, so immediately I went and got the "Song Remains the Same" album, and just totally fell in love with it. Um,
yeah.
it's it's difficult to pick a Led Zeppelin one, but that's kind of my cop out, really. It's
Okay.
a live album,
To,
but
to, to tell you the truth, you are so lucky that you've seen live Led Zeppelin. You are so lucky.
I
So
saw them
lucky.
in
Yeah, okay.
1979, I think it was, at the Nebworth Festival. Yeah, with the original lineup. Um,
Did they play well?
Honestly, no,
Oh,
but
oh,
it didn't
okay.
matter. They were, if
And
you
that and
if you
that
read,
was and yeah, and that
sorry,
was the first time. So and that was the first time you saw them live.
yes,
Ah, okay, okay.
yes. So, I
Wh-
mean, if you read interviews with Robert Plant, he said, they were kind of unprepared. They weren't really
Yeah,
wasn't a great show,
yeah, I
but
guess.
it was Led Zeppelin. I was sat there watching it with a big can of cider, so I was very happy.
Yeah, okay, okay. Okay, so let's move on to the second top five of the day, which is a top five of some of your favorite guitar players. As you are a guitar player, this is what we need from you.
Wow.
Yeah, to tell us some maybe guitar players that in or quotation marks change your life.
Well, Brian May, definitely.
Mm.
Brian May is I just love his playing to bits. I love the sound. It's totally unique. I think he's probably the most unique guitarist on the planet, sound wise.
Oh.
You hear two notes of him, and it's like, yeah, that's Brian May.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anyone else that has a more identifiable sound than him. And everything he does, I mean, from the hand built guitar to using a sixpence as a coin, to using a whole stack of AC30s, everything about his approach is completely unique. And and he's a really clever guy. You can hear it on even things. There's a track on Night of the Opera called "Good Company,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's just kind of George Formby sort of track. But at the end, he's playing this Dixieland jazz kind of orchestra on a guitar. So all the trombone, the flute, everything, it's made by the guitar, and it's incredible. It's really is it's a work of art.
Yeah,
That's one of
indeed,
the things I
indeed.
love about him. Everything he plays is very it's just kind of perfect, you know.
Okay. Next choice, number four.
Oh, I don't know if Brian May would be number four, but oh, this is difficult now.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go for. There's a guy that I've been listening to a lot recently, um, but his only from 1983 and 84. I love his playing from 1983 and 84.
Mm.
Ingve Malmsteen.
Yeah, okay,
Um,
yes.
when he was playing with Alcatraz, I've got a few bootlegs from that period, and his playing was just ridiculous. Again,
Yeah.
it was the kind of a thing where the vibrato. It's probably the best vibrato I've ever heard. Again, the energy, the passion, the clarity, everything about his playing from that period, I just absolutely love. Um, I mean, he still plays, but it was that particular period that I really, really loved. Um,
Sorry, have you heard his solo albums later on?
yes, I've heard most of them. I'm I feel like he's okay. For me, music is about a band playing together. You know, getting a group of musicians, and that will give a certain character to the music. Now, his solo albums, especially his later ones, where he's practically doing everything himself, it's like, I don't know, it's you don't get that interaction playing with other people, which I think is really important. You know, sure. I mean, if I go into the studio, I can play bass. That's fine, but I don't want to. I'd rather have a bass player that would maybe.
Okay. That's totally understood. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's go to number 3.
Oh wow. Okay, number 3 is going to be Jeff Beck. I've already talked about him already, but
yeah.
I just love that he's still going out and playing and still making outrageous noises and, you know, still being inspiring. I think that's really important. You know, not just going out and playing it safe, but actually going out and pushing himself. You know, as a musician, I think that's very important. As I said, a lot of guitarists tend to rely on their notoriety. You know, they feel comfortable. It's like, okay, I'm Eric Clapton or whatever. I can just go out and do something, and everyone's going to love it because I'm Eric Clapton. It's like, no.
Okay. That's of course it's your personal taste, so
yes.
No one can say anything. Okay, number 2.
Oh, so is this number 2 going to number 1? Oh my God.
Yeah. For number 1, maybe we know the name, but what about number 2?
Number 2. I'm going to put Jimmy Page just because of his huge influence.
Okay.
On my playing. More, it's not even so much his playing; it's his music. You know, when they stopped copying old blues songs, you know, around about Led Zeppelin 4, and they started, you know, composing this incredible music, and I love the way Jimmy orchestrates his guitar parts. You know, on something like Achilles' Last Stand from Presence, for example. There's not a lot of people like that album, but it's just, for me, it's some of his best playing and his best orchestration as well. So yeah, Jimmy Page. I mean, he didn't really care about mistakes. Some of his playing was a little bit sloppy, but he, you know, it was all about the energy and all about the moment. So I admire that from him. It's completely the opposite end of the spectrum to Brian May, who would kind of carefully orchestrate these beautiful guitar parts. It was Jimmy. I guess a lot of it was recorded live anyway, so you know, it's kind of mistakes, warts and all, but they were important to me.
Okay. And number 1?
Well, number 1 is going to have to be the late Eddie Van Halen, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I was a Van Halen kid. What can I say?
Yeah.
I used to buy magazines just because it had a picture of him on the front cover. You know, I was kind of obsessed when I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the right order, but yeah, they're probably my top 5 at the moment.
Okay. That was 2 very, very nice top 5. And right now, let's go to the second part of the show where we have some questions for you. And
wow.
the first, and it's some personal, some questions for music, etc. You will see.
All right.
The first question is not exactly a question; it's something like a quiz we do with all our guests. I will tell you two groups or artists, and what I need from you is to pick one of the two and explain us why. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So first is Beatles or Rolling Stones.
Well, it would have to be the Beatles.
What,
Um,
sorry, you said it would have been. Why would have been? You are not obliged.
no, I know. Well,
No,
the
no,
Rolling
okay, okay.
Stones, they have a very specific
Yeah, yeah,
sound, like AC/DC. Like
yeah.
we, like I mentioned before, you're not going to be surprised on a Rolling Stones record. Whereas on a Beatles record, you could get
Mm.
absolutely anything. Um, you know, I was kind of a little bit late. Um, I heard some Beatles stuff when I was younger, but my mother had 5 albums, only 5 albums. Like my family weren't really interested in music, but one of the
Okay.
albums she had was Revolver,
Yeah,
and
okay.
which I love. That's another great
Mm.
album. So, and I love their musical diversity. I love the fact that they could they just seem to have more influence in their
Okay, okay,
music.
okay. It's understood.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. King Crimson or yes? Uh,
Oh, wow. The weird thing is, I probably know more Yes songs than I do King Crimson tunes. Um, but I have some friends that play in King Crimson. So, yes, King Crimson, definitely.
King Crimson. Oh, King Crimson one.
Yes.
Okay. Phil
Yes. Well,
Collins. Sorry, sorry.
no, I
Sorry,
was just
really
going
sorry.
to say, I used to play with John Wetton.
Yeah,
Um,
I know, I know.
So we played Starless and we played Red a couple of times, which that was so much fun playing Red with John Wetton on bass. It was just that's one of my favorite moments playing with him. So yeah, I think
Okay.
Crimson had more of an
King
influence.
Crimson one. King Crimson one. Okay.
Yes.
Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel? As an artist.
As an artist, I I don't know very much of either.
No,
I
no,
love I love
we mean,
Sledgehammer.
yeah, musically, of course.
Yes,
The okay, okay.
I loved Sledgehammer,
Hmm.
but I also loved In the Air Tonight. Uh, I'm not sure I can pick between the two. That's a really difficult one.
Yeah.
I
Only one win. Only one.
okay. All right, I'm going to go for Phil Collins.
Okay, okay, okay.
No,
And yeah. Sorry, sorry. Tell me. Sorry.
no, go on. I was just
Yeah.
going to say one of the songs that came up a lot with me and my girlfriend when we were first dating. They seemed to be playing this Phil Collins song a lot.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, let's go for
Okay.
Phil Collins.
And last quiz for tonight.
Okay.
Sting as a solo artist or Sting in Police?
Wow. Ah. Solo artist.
Solo artist. Okay. Okay.
I love
Okay.
the Police. They did some great tunes. I
Yeah.
actually saw the Police headline in Reading Festival back in '79 or something. But I also love what he's done. It's kind of a more polished version, I guess, with his solo career. So yes, Sting on his own.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back to your first days of your career, and I need you to share with us some experience you have with the Barbershop Quartet that you were. To tell you the truth, when I first read that you were in a barbershop quarter, that was a question I would love to ask you because it's something for me. It's something a bit bizarre. How it can how this is it?
um, well, I used to love singing,
Okay.
and there were a couple of singing groups at school where I went to, and I liked the I don't know. It wasn't so much. I joined the barbershop choir, so like 4 bass and 3 baritone and about 5 lead, and but when they just picked the best ones to be the quartet, then I found that fascinating, because it's such good ear training. You're having to keep a melody when everyone else is singing a different melody. So I kind of enjoyed the challenge of it. I started off by singing lead, and then there was too many leads, so they put me down to bass, and then there was too many basses, so I went to baritone. Because I've got quite a big singing range anyway. So and we used to go on these trips. We'd have the waistcoat and the little bow tie, and they'd take us to old people's homes. So there'll be yes.
Oh,
So we
okay.
get up on this little stage in front of all these old dears and their wheelchairs and hearing aids and stuff, and then we just sing a bunch of songs.
Oh,
The songs that they knew, obviously. Things like "Sweet Rosie O'Grady," which is, if you're younger than 60, then you're probably not going to know that.
yeah.
It's just such a great. It was a great time,
Yeah. You didn't feel awkward in some time
I
because of
was
the whole. It was
I was
no.
about 12 or 13. It didn't really. It never
Yeah,
really felt. It wasn't a big
yeah.
deal.
But it was a very nice experience for you, I believe.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So for the past many years, you are touring with Roger Waters. According to your opinion, which is the most difficult Pink Floyd song to play?
Um, hmm. I would think I'm going to go for Dogs,
Oh,
only because there are 3 different solos in the song, and they're all very, very stylistically very different.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, to be honest, anything's difficult if you want to perform it perfectly. So, you know, some of the bends, for example, in Another Brick in the Wall, they're not for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
Those sort of Albert King kind of two-tone bends. But I think just as a whole overall composition, I think there's a lot going on in Dogs. So that's the first one that comes to mind anyway.
Okay. How did you manage to control your improvising self when you joined Roger Waters' band? Yeah.
That wasn't easy. I just
Oh,
been touring with Keith Emerson,
yeah,
who
okay.
was I had the huge privilege to play in the Keith Emerson band for a couple of years, and
Okay.
that was all about improvising. That was all about the improvising. We used to do the whole version of Tarkus, and there'd just be sections in the middle. It's just like, where has he gone now? This is so cool, you know. And to go from that to a very, very structured setup with Roger, where everything's kind of played to a click track, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just playing the parts. I mean, it was fine. I used to record. I used to have to record for a guitar magazine called Guitar Techniques. So every
Mm-hmm.
month I would have to record a solo, note for note. One week it would be For the Love of God by Steve Vai. The next week it would be Eruption by Van Halen. The next week it would be Black Star by Malmsteen. So I guess it was a good discipline, just learning solos and then having to recreate them perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
When
Okay.
I joined Roger, I mean, I knew what the gig was. They wanted someone to sing and to play, David's guitar parts
Mm-hmm.
and vocal parts. So it was kind of different. The worst thing I found was not being able to move as much. Because
Okay.
with Keith, I had a wireless unit. And so I'd be running around. I was singing lead vocals. I was running around the stage like a lunatic. I was just having the best time. And then with Roger, it's like, right, okay, stay there, play these notes in that order. Off you go.
Okay. So,
So
so
this,
he's a perfectionist.
he's a total perfectionist. Yes.
Okay. Comparing to Steven Wilson,
Ah,
who,
well,
who,
Stephen
who
is
who
also
is who is the most perfectionist of these two?
perfect. They're both very strict in their own specific areas. I mean, Stephen is very critical of the guitar because he plays guitar,
Okay.
and he recorded a lot of guitar parts on the album, so he's very specific. He wants that particular guitar effect at that particular point, and he wants those parts played perfectly. There is a little bit room for improvising with Stephen. Um, God, they're both they're both very 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 strict. I'd probably say Roger was more of a perfectionist, but only because on something like the Wall Tour,
Mm-hmm.
we we played 3 years, I think it was, over 200 shows, and pretty much every show was recorded from a camera on the sound desk. And after the show, Roger would go back to his hotel room. He'd watch the show, and he'd make notes. Pretty much every concert for 3 years, he did that. Even the very last concert, we're doing the sound check, and he's just like, "Yeah, can we make that section in that song just a little bit quieter?" And just, which is I've never known anyone like that before, where they're so critical so in control, I guess. It's not
Oh,
like some bands where they sort of, they rehearse for a while and then they do the
mm-hmm.
tour. And towards the end, everything gets a bit messy. It's just like, no, this is going to be, and he wants it to get better every night. Every night he's trying to fix lighting cues or sound effects or, yeah, those clocks on the left hand side. We need those louder, and we want more sort of blue in the middle. And it's like we've been doing this for 2 years, and he's still trying to perfect this thing. I mean, especially so on the Wall tour. I think the Wall was probably the best thing that we've ever done, in my opinion. Um,
Okay.
Incredibly
Mm-hmm.
proud to be a part of doing that show.
Okay. Yeah, of course, it was such a great show. Such a great.
Did you
Okay.
see it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You came in Greece in
Yeah.
the I think it was in a basketball stadium for 3 nights in a row. I
Ah,
don't
yes.
remember. I don't remember to tell you the truth. I don't remember the exact date, but
Ah,
I was in the 2 of the 3 nights,
okay.
and yeah, the show was something memorable. Sorry, is not the word that can say what I felt.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. How's working with such great musicians, such as Roger Waters, Keith Emerson, Ken Hensley, John Wetton, Steven Wilson? Tell us some things about your collaboration with them.
Um, I mean, I feel obviously incredibly fortunate to have played with
Mm-hmm.
these guys, and I think it's. I mean, for the most part, I'm performing a role. They're looking for something very specific, and so I fit in that. So they're not so much. It's not really like a collaboration as. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure how to explain it. I hadn't thought about this before. So it's kind of like an acting job
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Mm.
But I have the sort of technique where I can hopefully keep most people happy and perform. Roger wants the parts performed. He like the album. For him the album is like it's like it's written in manuscript. It's like a classical piece. You go out and play Dark Side of the Moon, and you play Dark Side of the Moon, you play the songs in order, you play the solos exactly the same. That's that's what he wants, and I can do that. I guess with Keith it was a little looser because we could improvise more. He'd never had someone to improvise with. He'd always been the main guy, So he'd never had someone like in Deep Purple when you had Richie Blackmore and John Lord when they would have these little battles, musical battles. He'd never had that, so we started doing stuff like that, and he was in heaven. It was the best thing in the world for him. So,
Okay.
So I guess none of the things that I do actually include 100% me, but they're all aspects of my personality, I guess. Playing with John was great, John Wenton, because we got to play hit singles. We played, Asia tunes. We played UK tunes. So I got to do Alan Holdsworth solos. And also King Crimson tunes, So we doing everything from pop to the most juice prog music possible, So that was a great learning experience for me as well. And with Steve, I absolutely loved the music. A big fan. Before I joined, I went to see Stephen play a show in London on the Raven tour. It was just a friend of mine who he called me up. He said, "Oh, I've got a spare ticket for Stephen Wilson tonight. Do you want to come along?" I'm like, "Sure." So I turn up, and it's 2 rows from the front, and it's got my friend Guthrie playing guitar. Guthrie Govan, who's just probably the greatest guitarist on the planet right now. It's got Marco Miniman on drums, who is my favorite drummer. It's got Adam Holtzman, who's just a ridiculous keyboard player, and Stephen. And they're playing these songs from the Raven, and this is just incredible. I want to do this. So actually, yeah, playing with Stephen was I was playing music that I really loved. So that was an amazing experience for me. Again, Stephen was very critical of certain aspects. He's critical of every guitarist that plays with him. There were certain things he didn't like. He didn't like my vibrato. I mean, at the time I was working on more of an Ingve vibrato. He's like, "No, stop, don't do that ever again." He was, "Please." Right, okay. I think it sounds really cool, but okay.
Okay. What was your best and your worst memory being on stage? If okay, of course, if there is a
No, that's my worst memory was there's a concert that we played for it was on the 12th of December 2012. It's called 2000 it was called 12 it was a benefit concert in New York for the victims of Hurricane Sandy. And we hadn't played together for a while, but we got together and we rehearsed, and we were second on the bill, I believe, after Bruce Springsteen. I mean, it was amazing lineup. The Rolling Stones were there, the Who were there, Paul McCartney was there, Eric Clapton was there. It was just phenomenal. And we had a revolving stage.
Okay.
So the front half was the band that was playing. And then on the back there was the band getting ready to play the next band. So Bruce Springsteen had finished, and we're all on the backstage and ready to twist round and then face the audience. Madison Square Gardens, which I've played a few times, but it was also being broadcast to. They said it was over 2 billion people.
Wow.
So yeah. So we're on stage. I'm feeling pretty relaxed, considering. I'm all right. And we've done our little group hug, and we're on the stage, and the stage starts moving around, and then I realise I don't have my in-ears. we do everything with a click, and the click comes through these special in-ear monitors.
Yes.
And I've left the in-ears in the dressing room, and stage has got round, and we're round at the front, looking at everybody. I think it was Billy Crystal was still talking, still introducing us.
Mm-hmm.
And I just frantically called someone over. I said, I haven't got my ears. Jeez. So I said, where? They said, where is it? I said, it's in the dressing room. It's in the dressing room. So they went running, and they brought my ears. And I said, well, I need my pack as well. He said, it's a battery pack. That
Yeah.
You know.
I know.
And I'm standing. I'm listening to Billy Crystal. My whole life is passing before my eyes because I'm thinking any minute, any second, they're going to go, da-da.
Yeah.
And I'm
Wow.
not going to know what the fuck is going
Oh.
on. And not only that, but my amp is so loud, I'm probably going to blow my ears out anyway.
Oh.
So eventually they arrived, and I put my ears in, got the pack, plug it in. I can't hear anything. The pack's not working. You know, so they get me another pack. They run on stage, and now, okay, it's working now. Okay, and now I'm ready. But the thought of playing in front of 2 billion people, and also I am now shaking because there's a part of me that's still clinging to the ceiling, and I'm trying to calm down. I'm trying to relax, so I can actually play through these songs. That was kind of my worst thing because I thought I'd just blown the biggest show ever. I thought I would just completely blown it. And I managed to get through it okay. The only thing I heard was there was, something in the first solo. I bent the first note and it was way sharp because I had so much adrenaline. I was just like okay, still trying to calm down. But then it was fine, and we played comfortably numb at the end, and we had Eddie Vedder came on and sang the vocals on the chorus. Eddie Vedder from Program, who's such a nice guy. So that was fine. And you watch the video, and I just looked like, yeah, this is all fine, everything's good, But inside, I was an absolute mess. I was shaking when I got off stage. I got a bottle of wine. It was like, please. But that was probably my worst, and also with the biggest audience I've ever played in front of.
Okay.
Great.
And any best moment? Something you,
yeah. I the one that immediately, there's been hundreds. The one that immediately springs to mind is I was playing with John Wetton and Carl Palmer. We had a band called Quango.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about that. It was quite a short-lived thing. But Carl Palmer was on drums, John Wetton was on vocals and bass. And trying to think of the date. The date isn't that important, but the keyboard player was a friend of mine called John Young. And my mother was in the audience, and two of my uncles. And these were the two uncles that introduced me to ELP. They were huge ELP fans. And so the three of them are in the audience. I'm playing with John, with Quango. We do a couple of ELP tunes, a couple of John Wetton solo tunes, I think. Play some Asia tunes, because obviously Cole played in Asia as well.
Mm-hmm.
And playing in London. So we finished the set, and I'm nearest to the steps to walk off stage. So I get to the top of the stairs, and I look down, and there's some guy at the bottom of the stairs looking at me. He's got his arms outstretched, and he's got the biggest grin on his face. And I thought, oh my God, that's Keith Emerson. And I, even now I'm just kind of getting chills just thinking about it. So I got to the bottom of the steps, and he gave me a huge hug, and he said, oh my God, that was amazing. I've never heard a guitarist play my keyboard lines before, because I was doing a lot of the, doubling a lot of the keyboard lines. And he said, "Do you mind if I get up and jam?" I'm like, so we get up. We'll get back up on stage for the encore. There's Keith Emerson on keyboards, Carl Palmer on drums, my two uncles in the audience, biggest ELP fans you can imagine. There's my mum in the audience. We're playing Fanfare, I think, and I don't really remember what I played. I just remember standing on stage with the biggest, stupidest grin on my face, thinking,
Okay.
it's just the best thing ever.
Yes,
So,
but you will remember this forever. So
yes,
it's
yes. So that was probably my favorite moment.
Okay. What about your solo career? Do you have any plans for a solo album?
I do. It's
Ah.
almost finished. It's almost
Oh.
finished. I'll tell you. Sorry, I've probably talked way too much, but I wrote a bunch of songs the last time I was in Mexico, about 2 years ago, and I was talking to Marco Minimum, the drummer, and we talked about doing an album together before because we're both huge Queen fans, and so I said, "Well, I got these tracks." And he said, "Well, just send them to me, and I'll record the drums." So Marcos played drums on it. I love Marcos playing. To me, he reminds me of. I mean, he's obviously a ridiculously gifted and very technical player, but he's also got that John Bonham thing, which I love. It just grooves like crazy. So then I asked Nick Beggs, who was living near me, to play the bass. So he played bass and stick. I got Adam Holtzman to play keyboards, and I initially wanted him to play on like 2 or 3 tracks, but every time he sends a keyboard part back, it's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. Okay, can you play this next track?" So he's played on like 7 tracks so far, and all the backing vocals are done. I had this group of 4 girls that layered up some vocals for a gospel track that I wrote. There's a good friend of mine, Heather Finley, who did a lot of backing vocals as well. So really, it's up to me to do the lead vocals, and then it's going to be finished. The only thing I'm thinking, I was talking with my manager the other day, and he said it kind of makes sense to put it out next year, shortly before the Roger tour, so we can use some of the publicity from that. We're touring America, so I can do a lot of interviews, radio spots, whatever, while I'm over there. So I'm not kind of rushing, but it's because it's probably not going to be available till next year, but it's pretty much finished except for the vocals now. And I'm so excited about it. It's just the best thing I've ever done, really.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. Okay, so I have only one question for you. Thank you so much for being here with me, and of course Dimitri who is missing tonight. My last question is, what is your main advice when you meet or you want to teach a younger guitar player?
I think my usual advice is to do it because you love it. If you take up the guitar because you want to be famous, you want to be on stage, these are all very, very bad reasons to try and play guitar. Especially people. There seems to be a thing where people are just desperate to be famous. It's one of the worst things in the world. I'm not famous by any means, but I've hung around with enough famous people to know that it's really bad. You can't do normal things. You can't just go to the corner shop. You can't just go to a restaurant. You can't kind of go on holiday without people bothering you, following you. So if you play guitar because you love playing guitar, then you'll always be happy. You know, I still, my guitar is right here. My guitar is never very far because I love playing guitar. It makes me happy, whether I'm playing on my own or to 50,000 people. Just so that if it makes you happy, then great, then do it, and listen to everything. Don't listen to one specific genre, because there's a lot of probably from listening to my things like Night of the Opera. There was so much diversity. There's a lot of diversity on my new album. There is a reggae track on my new album. It's one of the best things
Oh,
I've ever written. But there's also an 11-minute prog epic as well. It's just,
oh,
let's
okay.
just. I I love music. I
Yeah,
love, and
okay.
there's good in all sorts of, in all genres.
Yeah. We know that you love music. It's more than obvious. More than obvious. Okay. Dave, thank you so, so much for being here tonight. It was such a pleasure for me to
Thank
talk with
you.
you.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
wishing you all the best, all the best. Stay safe, of course.
Thank you. You too.
And, and God bless music. This is, yeah, because, yeah, we both love so much music. I hear it, you play it.
Yes.
So, okay. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank,
day ahead. Okay.
thank you.
So,
I
bye
will
bye.
see you.
So, Thodori, I'm back. I'm back now that the amazing chat that you had with Mr. Kilmister is over.
Sorry. The chat was amazing because you were not close to me.
Okay, I'm never close to you because we are
Yes.
through Skype. But
No.
that's that's another conversation.
Even if we are through Skype, sometimes it's better to do some interviews alone, I think.
Okay, accepted. Challenge accepted. So, Thodori, we've learned so many things about Mr. Kilminster and
Of course.
about, of course, and about his colleagues, such as Roger Waters and Mr. Stephen Wilson.
Yes, and he shared with us many experiences from his personal life, from his career. He replied, as you saw, so many very, very interesting questions. And to tell you the truth, as I told you before, he was a very, very nice guy to talk to.
Yes, that's obvious. So, it was in the air tonight. After a long break, we are back. I'm Dimitris.
Amphodoris.
So, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell. Ding
Okay, this
ding,
is what I
ding
like
ding.
from you when you say ring the bell.
Ring the bell, ding
Yes.
ding. And don't forget to leave your comment below. So, till next
Sorry,
time.
sorry. You can leave your comments that it will be better to do the interviews alone. Thank you so much.
Okay. So and so. So, Todori, it was in the air tonight.
Yes.
From Dimitris and Thodoris.
Yes.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Have a great night ahead. Bye bye.